What's good? Live.
Wow. Real mature, Austin.
Very mature.
What's good?
We have a special guest, your friend.
Liam Biner.
Yes.
My brother. What's good,
What's
dog?
good?
Nice to meet you, Liam.
Nice to meet you all. Well,
I'm
I know
Austin,
you for a
by
hot
the way,
minute.
because this is kind of our first time talking.
Perfect. Nice to meet you, Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Liam and I know each other previously. We went to Elmhurst College together, both musicians. And I just, figured we'll have you over for the podcast. The other dudes will pick up
We'll chime
pick
in
up
when
suit.
we can.
So college,
Fair
was that
enough.
like 20 years ago for you guys?
Yeah, we're super old, as you can tell by our oldness.
Are you guys about the same age?
Yeah, we are. Well, at least we...
I think I was 1 year ahead. I graduated 2011 from Elmhurst College.
What year did you graduate from high school?
2007.
Okay, you're right. You're 1 year
From
old.
Prairie Ridge High School in Crystal Lake, Illinois.
Oh, Crystal Lake.
Shout out Crystal Lake.
Yeah, I guess.
Hey, you got to rep your
I have a
hometown.
friend that still lives there, okay? And he would be very offended if we said anything negative about Crystal Lake.
Well, there's something to be said about the folks that are from Crystal Lake that still live in Crystal Lake.
I feel like that's kind of how my hometown
Shots
is.
fired. Shots fired.
But we actually met on the very first day that I was ever on campus over there. It was before school started. We met in the studio, actually, honestly.
Yes.
It was during a session. I think you were the guitar tech and I was the drum tech.
Right. I remember getting an email from, what was that guy's name? Damn it, I'm already forgetting it.
Tim Hayes.
Tim Hayes. Good old Tim Hayes. He was such an interesting cat. But it was before school even started. But I got an email would you like to sit in on a recording session at Elmhurst College? I don't remember who hooked that up. But I was like, hell yeah, I would. That's
I was
awesome.
oh, you guys want to be engineers? Great. Come and assist on this session before we even started school there.
Right.
And yeah, I think you're teching, and I think I was teching. Somebody else was engineering the session, but we teched the session.
Well, I know we've talked about this many times, but really just, culminated and put the icing on the cake that is our friendship is it was lunch break and they're like, all right, you guys go get lunch now. And we just your own. And we're walking out, we're like, yo, you smoke weed?
Like,
Universal question.
he's like, yeah, I
like
think
a
it was,
gator.
hey, can you roll a joint? Sure can. And
Yeah.
so I think we smoked 2 joints on the way to and from Subway in downtown Elmhurst.
Subway.
Went back to the second half of that day. The rest of it was nice and
Well,
hazy.
there was already a real engineer there
Smiles.
doing all the work, and we were essentially just kind of helping set up and
Yeah, we had-
observing.
exactly.
And so, the fact that we were super baked didn't affect our ability to hopefully be some help to that recording
And
studio.
how much of a help are you going to be to the industry if you can't do what you do while super big?
That is very
So
true.
it's just kind of it was part of it,
That's
It's
expected these
It's kind of
days.
crazy that 2 of the best things in the world brought you together: music and weed.
Dude, you're very
And
right,
food.
man.
And food.
Food is
Yes.
pretty good.
3 of the best things in the world.
Let me bring you
Food,
back
weed,
to
and
suburban Chicago, summer
Picture for you.
2008.
Yes, summer 2008.
Weed
Wow.
was still taboo at the time.
Quite taboo.
It's crazy just seeing the change in society. Things could shift so quickly. That was not the norm back then.
Yeah.
It was
You
very
I-
taboo, and now it's just so acceptable, just a blink of an eye.
Oh, absolutely. And it's so, I always felt like such a criminal being in Elmhurst, which is notorious for demonizing
Oh, dude.
such a
The anxiety I used to have
minuscule
as a weed
offense.
smoker in Illinois, I'd be looking for cops and shit. Now just cruising. So
or
are
having
you,
to hide your gram bag on the way home.
yeah,
Dude,
Yeah.
a gram of just shit weed.
Well, even
Yep.
now, I'll be driving and I'll have weed that I bought legally at the dispensary, and I'll be driving home, and a cop will be behind me, and I'm like, oh fuck, I get all nervous, and it's it puts me on edge, dude.
Dude, now that I've
I
lived
did
in
not feel
Colorado,
bad.
I just am so comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I'll go back to Illinois and I'll just be walking around outside with ounces in my hand and shit, and then forget that the window's still illegal.
I don't know, man. That's what I'm saying. That's how terrible my town was. It was it's so instilled in me to be.
The cops were hard.
Oh, they were terrible. My friend's house got raided for a half ounce of weed, and he had to pay $7,000 worth of lawyer fees to not get a felony when he was 16. It's so
you're
fucked
saying
up.
we should defund Elmhurst police?
That is not what I said.
Just completely get rid of that.
This is a bit of a sidebar, but just going back to meeting Liam in Elmhurst, one of the negatives, the cops and how big of assholes they were, but how awesome was Elmhurst College? That recording studio was pretty rad.
Yeah,
It
so we
was-
got to cut our teeth in full-blown recording studio that was donated by the Gretsch family, like William and Fred
Yes.
Gretsch of Gretsch Guitars and Drums Instruments.
Wow.
He was an alumni, and at one point, donated, $100,000 plus, recording studio. I mean, I can't even tell you how much it was. Probably $250,000 or something.
Yeah, it's got to
at
be
the
up
time.
there.
And actually, like, we updated it on my way out. I helped do the studio install. We put like the digital console in there. It was like a Control 24 and major upgrade from the 48 channel analog board that was in there.
Right.
So yeah, it's a full blown studio that we were able to use at any point for free because we were in the program.
I recorded my audition tape for like grad school there and whatnot. John Weber recorded it for me. Shout out John Weber. You're out there somewhere.
Hey John.
Hey John.
Long time no see.
But yeah, I mean, it's just it's one of those things like being young and just like being thrown into it. You're just like, oh, this is how it is. But looking back, I just appreciate it so much.
It was great. And
it was so cool.
And yeah, it had a great live room, great vocal booth, great mic locker.
Yeah.
Some great vintage mics in there. John Towner was our guy
Towner.
in there. And he's just an old school, engineer, been doing it for decades. We learned a lot. And we kind of picked up the digital side of it on our own. We had Mark Streeter also, so we had
that MIDI class.
So we kind of had like a Studio B and C in like the actual music building, which was like a MIDI studio with an interface, and it was like
what we have over there.
Yeah, it was like an M box, and
Right.
but we used it with whatever it was, whether it was Pro Tools, but I mostly used Logic in there. So we learned Logic Pro through Streeter and did all this MIDI stuff with audio. And that was great, so those two studios combined really helped us cut our teeth,
Now you were a percussionist mainly, correct?
That is correct.
But didn't you do like a lot of different instruments?
Yeah, and so again,
You sang, you did
so
a lot of different
and
things.
Elmhurst is kind of like an off the map music school. It's really great. It's kind of like a little sister school to like the Paul program almost, but yeah, because if you were a music major, you could take lessons for free. So I just fucking loaded them up. And I played a bunch of instruments before that, but I was able to take guitar, bass, keyboards, composition, voice, piano lessons, theory lessons.
Because I know you're a good drummer, and we've always jammed together. But then I would see you sit down at the piano and bust out some like beautiful shit. And I was like, damn.
Yeah, I remember you playing sticks.
Yeah, that is so funny. I was literally teaching a student sticks tonight. Come Sail Away.
The demo on the General MIDI keyboards, it was like "Come Sail Away" with like the lighted up keys, but also "My Heart Will Go On," Celine Dion.
Oh, such a good tune.
Shout out to General MIDI.
when it comes to instruments, like what's your main?
I would say
Like,
percussion and
That is
drum kit
percussion?
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And then you were getting into live recordings, like just mic setup and stuff like that.
yeah. So we did studio there, and honestly, it wasn't really until after college that at least I segued into live sound. We did like student recording services, which would mean you'd show up with 16 channel mixer and an interface, and you bring like a Pro Tools rig as kind of like a backup, or a CD, live to CD burner that Towner sent me with a few times, and we would record like jazz combo shows, orchestra shows, choir shows, stuff like that, and like the venues that we had. I think I got sent to Harper College a couple of times, but it wasn't until after college that's like, okay, let me go find a job in a studio somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
okay, well, that's easier said than done. So, after working in several studios for chump change, or like as an intern for free.
Yeah, isn't like the beginning, like I've never worked in a studio, but we were talking about it because I was reaching out to studios, and it's like you're gonna be sweeping the floors, and it's just pretty
making
rough in the
coffee,
beginning.
Swiffering the floors if there's, and then making coffee, going on beer runs, walking the studio dogs.
Bitch work.
You're the bitch.
But like if you want to get up there, that's what you do in the studio world. And I actually did that in 4 different studios, like as internships in college, and it was, great studios. I met a lot of good guys. I think the peak of that was Ivy Labs and
I've heard of that. Yeah.
like
Ivy
Lakeview,
Labs
which is Manny Sanchez's place, which has since been sold and disbanded. But
Really?
like Humphreys would record there, and Patrick Stumpf would record there. I actually got the gig after meeting Jeff Austin.
You met Jeff Austin, huh?
Yeah, actually a few times. I've worked with him over the years, but the first time I met him officially was out here, String Cheese 2010 at Red Rocks. And he's like, oh, my Jesus Redbeard, you know, wearing.
Oh yeah, Jeff.
Yeah, it's like nice shirt, Tool shirt, cool. Love that band. Oh, you're from Chicago, Ivy Labs, check them out. Oh, you like studio? Yeah, hit up Manny. And it was like cool. Like,
and you did?
And I did. I got the internship, and you know, that's how I met all those guys. That was like one of the first, you know, big moves out there. But you know, going into the real world, there's not a lot of gigs if you're trying to, you know, make it as an engineer, you know, at 22 or 18 or whatever with minimal experience.
Yeah.
So you go as studio manager, and you're still kind of doing that, but you're making a little bit of money. But live sound, I think, was it's like, hey, you can mix, right? Cool, come mix. And so I was working at Martyrs at the time.
Yeah, I remember you worked at Martyrs.
Ray Quinn hit me up, and he's like, hey, I got a string of dates I need you to mix on. And kind of the rest is history. I never really did many studio sessions after that, and it was all live.
Went to the live
there.
thing. I feel like you're more suited for that. It's more fun, I bet.
It's fun. It's a lot different. You know, studio's kind of like a ship in a bottle, you know, and live sounds like sailing the open ocean. You know, you're out there. It's a whole different thing.
Analogy.
That is an amazing analogy.
I can't take that. I think that was a Jerry Garcia.
Hey, you know what?
Hey.
Now people, hopefully, that may not have heard it through Jerry, heard it through you.
Yes.
I'm one of them.
But there's always, I mean, until about 6 months ago, there's always gigs for live engineers, good ones at that. And, you know, you can always tour if you're a great engineer and you're adaptable and all that. But, you know, it's that much easier to get that gig if you're able to mix live versus in the studio.
I've noticed that I'll see the same sound engineers at different venues in a city, and it's probably because, you know, they get a good reputation and just have that ability to kind of float around, and you become your own boss in a weird way. You're freelancing.
Yeah, if you're a touring band or a local band and you go to a club and the mix was great, on stage was great, the recording is great, you know, you're in a venue, it was great. Bands remember that. You never forget that as a band. And it's like, hey, you know, can you come mix this show, or can you come mix this show, or we got this string of dates, can you roll along? And next thing you know, you're either on the road or you're in demand. You're the number one or two at a venue or a couple venues.
Now that's an interesting thought too, because like for instance, when we play at Cervantes we've done one headlining gig at Cervantes, and you have to pay quite a bit of venue fees, and $250 of that fee is a sound guy to run the sound. So I would imagine that you could get that taken off if you had your own guy. And then, I mean, not to like ask your business, but what is the general pay for like a band like bringing along a sound guy? $100, $200, something like that?
Well, in theory, yeah. You know, it's not always as glamorous as you think it is.
Of course, that's the music industry.
Like a lot of bands don't necessarily net a lot of money at the end of a gig or at the end of a string of gigs. So, you know, being friends with the band really helps. And, you know, but it's like, you know, yeah, if you usually work out a monthly rate, you know, if you're doing like a tour that's going to span a few months, you're going to work on a monthly rate. You know, if you're going to work for an hourly or a day rate on those types of things and compare it to what you can make locally, it's not necessarily as lucrative, but it's more for the love of the game. But, you know, if you're a guest engineer, you know, the low end and like a dive bar should be $100 minimum.
Oh, of course.
You know, but yeah, like $250 for just the front house engineer at an established venue.
That's not bad.
That's a solid rate for a club engineer like that. And then it only goes up and down from there.
Yeah.
I can see that, man.
That's the beautiful thing about the music industry. Like, there's been a few things that you said, just like meeting people and also being like a quality product. Like, there's in normal society, like a desk job, somebody could be super smart, the best person suited for the job, but if you don't have like a college degree, you're not going to get that job. But true. In the music industry, it's like, oh, he's good, and it's like you become homies and you guys meet naturally. Like, that's what corporate America is losing, but the music industry has
one of our oh, sorry, go. Yeah, no, I was just going to say, one of our mutual teachers, Liam and I, Frank Portalese, you know, I've talked about him all the time, amazing guitarist, but he, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't even have a music degree. He's got a degree in journalism or something like that. Yeah. But he has been gigging for so long and knows all the big jazz musicians in Chicago that his reputation and his playing literally speaks for itself, you know. Yeah. And he's been a private teacher for a long time.
Well, let's be real. All the biggest guitar players know who Frank Portalese is. You know?
There, exactly.
So it's like, oh, you study with Frank Portalese? It's like, wow, that's kind of a, you know, that's a medal, or it's like a nick on your shelf. Yeah, he's one of the best.
completely independent, like showing off. Like,
and he was one of those
being
guys that's
products.
like, you know, by the book and always has been, played some big gigs. But he was an Ed Sullivan guy. You know, he saw the Beatles play on Ed Sullivan, you know, in '64. Is that what it was? Cool. I want to go get a guitar now, and I'm going to listen to Top 40 radio and play along with it. Oh, I can't bend my strings. What do I have to do? He would always tell us about how they'd have to buy a bag of banjo strings for the top 2 because they were wound at the time, I believe.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like strings weren't even that way. So he would, you know, modify the guitar with half guitar and half banjo strings and play along to Top 40, and that was in the early mid '60s, you know. But he turned out to be one of these incredible, you know, iconic, in my opinion, jazz guitar players in Chicago.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I literally sent him a message a couple months ago, like, you know, just, I don't know, I think about him all the time. I talked about you, actually. I talked about how me, you, and Scott, like, lived out here in Denver. We still see each other. And, like, how, I don't know, just how much of an inspiration, like, many lessons that I had with him, like, specific things he said stuck with me and still inspire me to this day. And, like, I think about that with my students. Like, even today, I had a student, like, it was one of those to kind of just, like, go through the book, like, do the things, lessons, and I'm, like, trying to, like, I could tell she's not inspired, but her mom wants her to stick to this book, you know? I'm like, fuck, I want to inspire her more. But, like, he had this ability to inspire me every lesson.
To practice, too. He'd make you want to practice, you know, give you something that was doable, that would connect some dots in a way. And it's like, wow, I can do that. And it's going to get you to this part. It's going to get you to this point, to this point. And then it's like, wow, I could do something that like an actual guitar player can do, you know, and
right.
That's huge. And it's like, but mostly with practice, he'd give you good stories, but it was mostly like things to practice, things to work on, and the desire to not fuck up when you had to perform them one-on-one.
Oh yeah, he shamed me in a lesson one time when I didn't practice. He literally put his guitar down or put something down. He might not even been holding the guitar, but he was like, "All right, Matt, we have a problem here." And I was like, "Oh my God, we have a problem? Like, I'm sorry, man."
Called you out.
He called me out really hard. And like, for some people that doesn't work, but I knew I wasn't going to quit guitar. So the only other option is never ever let that happen again. Yeah. And I practiced my ass off after that. So that,
too.
You know, yeah, exactly.
But he gave you the shit that you knew you should be practicing, and you knew you needed to master if you're going to get to that next step.
Oh, yes.
Triplets, fours, and skips.
No, that was my other guitar teacher, Jack. But Frank, actually, no, I take that back. Frank does do triplets, fours, and skips. And then he also does triads and seventh chords. And then he does that through every scale shape every day, he says. You heard me trying to do that the other day. And like, even, you know, I'm pretty fast, and it takes me a solid at least 20 minutes to a half an hour to get through all that.
To go through everything?
Sure. Yeah, all those for all 6 scale shapes. And I often get like sidetracked because I'm just have ADD and just wait.
High as fuck.
In Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
But like, I also took lessons with Ken Habig on bass, another iconic
great
jazz
bass
musician.
player.
Everybody knows Ken Habig. But sometimes we wouldn't even, like, I would tune up, I'd plug in, I'd turn the volume down, I'd sit with the instrument on my knee, and the entire lesson we would just have a life lesson. We would just talk about life. We would, we'd get through the entire lesson, and it could be this, that, or the other conversations, stories, lessons, whatever. And it's like, oh, wait, we should probably play something today. Here, work on this for next time, or play this. It's like, cool, that sounds good. Let's do this for next time. And you might not even get to it the next lesson because you're talking about life again, and that was just as valuable to me from like a great musician like that as actually learning the technique. And
well, you look back and you don't realize how feeble of a time that is in your life when you're literally so many, I mean, this is your whole growing up experience, but any little thing can, an important experience, something that moves you or whatever it might be, an inspiring teacher, could affect the rest of your life, And so those life lessons that you get from these people with an infinite more amount of wisdom than you, those are invaluable moments, like you just said. They're shaping the rest of your life as a growing young boy.
And isn't that the value of an education, kid?
That really is, isn't it? That is priceless right there.
But for as off the map as Elmhurst was, it was a decent enough musical education, and we learned the ropes in the studio and kind of, when I left, it was like, oh shit, I'm done with school now. What am I supposed to do?
I can relate.
But yeah, it was a
Well, tell us more
spot.
about what you did after school, man. We were talking earlier about some cool shit. You moved to LA. Tell us about
smoked
that.
a bunch of weed.
saw some fish, bro.
Saw some fish.
You said
Tons-
something one time. You were
tons
like,
of
I was
babes.
touring and seeing a lot of fish back then, so I don't remember that well. Or something like that.
What kind of music are you into?
If you ask me in 2010, it's going to be a different answer from 2020.
Yeah.
But I remember at the time, it was, I loved opening up our perceptions to new ideas and going out and, going to events with like-minded individuals like that, so did a lot of festival stuff. And we always saw, we kind of grew up seeing bands like Neil Young, and we saw bands like String Cheese really early on, at some of the first shows I ever went to, and that was always kind of spilled over into it. But man, a little of everything, and that's kind of cliche to say, but we listened to everything. I was raised on Kraftwerk. Let's talk about Kraftwerk. And so, if you make electronic music, there's no talking about the progress and the process of that without talking about Kraftwerk first.
It's so sad because I don't know who Kraftwerk is.
I don't either.
Cool. Well,
I got some
Please
homework
tell
to
me.
do.
I would like to know.
I'll give you the nickel tour on Kraftwerk, and then you're going to do the rest of the homework.
Fair enough. I can do that.
Do that
But
too.
I'm willing to do that.
Kraftwerk essentially are some of the pioneers of electronic music. They invented many of the instruments that are used today. They developed some of the first drum pads using electricity. Essentially like voltage oscillators would do in the early days of synthesizers. They determined that you could do the same thing with drum pads, and
Interesting.
so they'd pass varying amounts of electricity into
By
things
velocity of the hit, or
by amperage. So it was like at how much power are you giving individual pads.
oh, I see.
So by inhibiting how much power you can kind of change the pitch itself. So if you send white noise through at different amperages, you can kind of get a different pitch out of that.
Interesting.
Crazy.
So they were able to, like sending, electric signals through things like cookie sheets using wire hangers and different pads. And that's how they made some of the first drum pads.
Really?
And so, they were some of the, they're from Germany. They were a krautrock band in the late 60s and early 70s. And then
Rock.
it's very appropriate, but developed some of the first electronic music. And they were essentially one of the first to do like straight electronic music in that way. And, you can go into any Who Sampled database. You could look at your favorite hip hop songs or pop songs from all time, whatever. So many artists have sampled Kraftwerk's music. And, there wouldn't be that first hip hop boom with like the Zulu Nation and whatnot without Kraftwerk samples.
I
Interesting.
got
So
a lot of homework to do.
So there's a little taste. Go home and read about Kraftwerk with K, all one word. K.
I've seen the name for sure.
Yeah.
I've just never heard their music. Or anything.
So they're infinitely and ever expanding. They're a huge influence on modern music, without a doubt.
Interesting.
So I listened to that shit growing up. My dad actually turned us on to that as like some of the first music we ever listened to.
That actually surprises me for some reason that your dad was into some dope early electronic shit.
So Russ always knew the good records.
Russ.
We had a huge record collection, and so we started seeing shows as early as we could start going out and seeing shows. But there's infinite influences as well, but
Yeah, absolutely.
and going to school, it's like world music as well. Latin, Afro-Cuban, let's go to jazz. I can go back hundreds of years and do classical as well. I think being well-rounded like that can make you a better musician for whatever it is that you do, and take any type of lesson from it, even down to simple things like dynamics, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I've come to realize too. It's sometimes it's in the little simple things, simple nuances like how to perform a crescendo, sitting there and practicing
Evenly,
and what a crescendo can actually do for a melody or for an emotional moment, or you just really dive deep into every little element of the music, and doing that over and over again through all the different elements, you just become more and more well-rounded as a total musician, but you see the bigger picture, I think. I remember reading something in school about like some violinist like learning all of these little skills and not realizing those are all the things that were going to lead to him having this chamber career, you know, doing quartets or whatever you would call that, you know. But I picture like the dudes in Titanic where there's like a viola and a violin and they're like, one last time, boys.
That's kind of what it felt like when COVID first hit. It's like all of us in the events industry were just kind of the band playing as the Titanic's sinking. Well, it's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Sure. I hope to see you at some point or another.
Oh my God, it's exactly that. But yeah, so tell us more about LA. Like you moved to LA and tell us about some of the work you've been doing there.
Yeah, so we moved to LA about a year ago, and you know, was working in Chicago, union, non-union, and I got recruited for a gig out there at the Beverly Hilton, which is this kind of, you know, fancy hotel, like classic hotel. But we've hosted the Golden Globes for several decades. Like
hold on, it's like, no. I just realized Beverly Hilton, is that a play on words?
It is. It's actually in Beverly Hills, California.
Oh my God.
Live from the beautiful Beverly Hilton. It's the 73rd annual Golden Globes.
That is hilarious. Okay, I got that down now. Beverly Hilton, you work there.
Yeah, you know, so in Chicago, and I lived out here in Denver, Colorado for a couple of years as well, but did everything from theater to television, a ton of concerts, ton of festivals. And you know, I got recruited to come out here. They actually moved us out there for the gig.
Really?
They did. Yeah.
That's dope, man.
So they moved us out there for the gig, and it's mostly award shows. So I do like award shows, red carpet galas, but you know, the flagship every year is the Golden Globes. And we do all the subcategories for the categories on those bigger shows, like the Writers Guild Awards, producers, actors, costume designers, directors.
Costume designers, they're getting love at least.
Yeah,
all
believe
these
me.
people,
Like, so
dude,
once you start to appreciate the costumes and anything, it's.
I've seen some behind the scenes of it. Almost goes in with like the costume / makeup, like the amount of time it takes to put some of these, you know. Yes, exactly.
Yo, dog, you ever heard of Lady Gaga?
To put an outfit like that together, the whole ordeal, it's like a thing, you know.
What's your like interactions like? Do you interact with like celebrities a lot?
You know, so out there, I'm a producer. I'm a technical producer. I do like lighting, video, audio, staging. I coordinate with the producers on the creative end for whoever's show it is, and we're in-house venue support. So we'll offer video patching, we'll offer PA lighting, we'll offer operators for all of that. On certain shows, people will opt to bring in their own video truck, their own video production team. We have the capacity to do full-scale video production there too. So we talk with stage managers, producers, line producers, directors, stuff like that. And the talent is, you know, usually on that side of things. But yeah, I mean, there's no going through a day of work without rubbing elbows with people like that. We're not at the point where we're having like beers, because that's always at the end of the night, you know. And we're doing our
you will eventually. I'm seeing.
You know, I talk to people here and there in a professional capacity, but I'm not like
you'll be drinking baby's blood pretty soon.
I'm not having beers with Pierce Brosnan on the weekend yet.
You know, I always said that you kind of look like Paul Rudd to me, so I would love to manifest like you meeting Paul Rudd.
I would love to smoke weed with like Seth Rogen or Kevin Smith or something.
That would be great. I could
that.
See Kevin Smith smoking a joint with you.
Shout out.
I think he would like you. You know, he would enjoy to be in your presence.
Yeah, I've been watching Kevin Smith movies as long as I've been able to swear. I actually saw an evening with Kevin Smith at the Rao Center in downtown Crystal Lake, of all places.
Really?
Because I believe his aunt was from McHenry, and there's a shout out to McHenry, Illinois, and Dogma. If you're into the movies, that's where Linda Fiorentino is from. Is McHenry, Illinois?
Who's Linda Fiorentino?
You ever seen Men in Black?
Maybe
you've heard of it.
She's in Dogma, right?
That's correct.
So.
Okay, so they had never seen any of these movies, and we just watched Dogma as well as Mallrats, Clerks 2. Oh wait,
I've seen those.
Did we watch Clerks 2?
Yes.
Okay, we
Told
watched
you she
all
was
of
a
them.
slut.
Shit, we should.
Bang.
Slut.
Fucking Shermer, Illinois, man. That John Hughes, full of shit. Yeah. So my brother, same thing. I have an older brother that's 5 years older. 5 or 6. I always forget. 6. He just wait, no. 5. He's 5 years older than me. Either way, my brother raised me on those movies, and I always thought they were so funny. And it's funny to me growing up and going back, because there were a lot of the jokes. I was like 8 or 9 watching these movies, and I didn't understand so much of it. It went right over my head, but still, it's great.
Jay's so funny.
You kind of look like Jay right now.
We're going to be Jay and Silent Bob for Halloween.
Yeah.
He should replace you for Silent Bob.
No, yeah,
He would be a great.
I actually did
You're
Silent
too tall,
Bob,
though.
I believe,
Ty's
Halloween
got
of
the
8th
perfect
grade.
length of hair now, with the backwards hat
Yeah.
going on.
And the coat comes with a beard. It's like $60.
Do you guys predict we'll be able to do anything
No,
for
not
Halloween?
this year for sure.
Wow.
It's on a
Dress up
Friday
the
with a
house.
full moon, isn't that correct?
Yeah, is there a full moon Friday?
Yeah, it's a full moon, and it's a Friday, and it's Halloween. And
Oh,
it's
on
also-
Halloween.
On Halloween. And,
On Friday the 13th.
and we probably won't be able to go do anything.
possible.
Halloween on Friday the 13th?
Is it on Friday the 13th this year? Did they move it because of COVID?
Fucking it.
No, that's kind of crazy though. I can't wait for that.
We're just gonna dress up.
Yeah,
at
if we
the
could
house.
enjoy it.
We're gonna enjoy it with each other, no
Yes.
matter what. We should do a Halloween podcast.
You know what? You're right, man.
Yeah,
We
all
should just
is
have a
each other.
Halloween party and then get canceled for having a party during COVID.
yeah. I mean, I'm just canceled anyways, so I'm down.
He probably
man.
hasn't heard that story. When COVID first happened, we set up a party. And
It was
like,
my 30th birthday party.
And it was like a small group.
a small group. Like there
Well,
was,
I
there was
invited
people on
100
Facebook
people
that
on
were like,
Facebook, but I
"Can
knew
you
all.
see
It was a lot of courtesy invites. I knew
Yeah.
they all weren't going to come.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to exclude anyone.
People were going.
I feel
after
bad
his
of
neck.
excluding people. I'm sorry.
People are like, he's on Mile High Sound Movement. He needs to be dropped from his label.
Oh, yeah, they were
and
trying to,
shit.
like- I was
Because
like, you
they
have-
didn't get invited to your COVID
because-
party?
no,
because
because
we
I
are
had
having
the
a
party.
party.
Oh,
because
gotcha.
we weren't social distancing.
Yeah.
And
During his 30th birthday.
It was just funny. I was
Psychos.
like, you have nothing to do with Mile High Sound Movement. You're just like the girlfriend of someone that's on the Mile High Sound Movement. I'm like, you're not gonna get me dropped from my label for something that's like I didn't do anything
You
wrong.
didn't break the law.
Like I said, I honestly, all right. I invited 100 people on Facebook. I expected maybe 20 people to show up.
And how many
Tops.
came?
10.
No one. Wait, I thought it was just us.
No, Nathan and Haley were
Oh,
there.
yeah, you're right,
Carissa
you're right.
came.
Okay.
Like there was still like 10 people
For some
there.
reason I thought it was just the
Also, in my defense, that is like.
Big room.
Also, in my defense, that was like the day that Governor Polis like actually made some sort of law that you couldn't have gatherings over like 12 people.
Now we're at a .00000 fucking 53%.
It's always been at
death
0.0.
rate.
Is that really what it is? I saw that the other day.
0.053 death rate in the United States.
So like not that much at all.
No shit.
nothing. So,
That's what I say to that.
anyways, though,
Oh, that was
it's
good.
just so fucking annoying. People are crazy.
You know,
I hate wearing a mask.
it's such a weird gray area because it's like
Oh my God,
me
I
and
was gonna-
we all want our lives to continue,
Yeah.
but then it's like if we go and do our thing and
I
then we
just
give
don't
it to
like
someone
the-
who then their grandma dies and then they're
So like
sad.
the illogical thinking, like I was gonna fight this dude. I was in Boulder, and he just I was literally gonna fight him. So you go up. He was already outside of the restaurant, and I asked for a table. The tables are behind me outside.
I was with you. I remember
yes,
this. Yeah,
yes, outside. He's like, "Oh well, you need a mask." I'm like, "I'm gonna go sit right there outside." So like, I'm not even going inside. He's like, "Yeah, well, you need a mask." I'm like, "I don't."
But then as soon as you sit at the table,
So
you're
he
allowed to
gave me
take it
the
off.
mask. I turned around, sat down,
Walked 10
took my
feet.
mask off, and that was it.
That was
I just don't
hilarious.
understand that you have to wear a mask walking to the table and like just kind of being in public, but you don't when you're at the table, like 2 inches away from someone when you're coughing.
Well,
at the
it's
table,
supposed 2
like-
inches away from people you came with, I guess, is the idea. You
Yeah,
know?
but
So
you're
at
still
least,
supposed to social
It's
distance
insane.
technically.
yeah.
It just doesn't make
Do you,
sense. to
do you
me.
see that it's way more lax here compared to?
Yeah, like
Cali?
out here, things feel open. It feels normal.
It's getting there.
Aside from, shows and what you're doing this weekend, it's out in LA, it feels like, patios are open, no bars are open. You can't walk into a place, definitely. It's very similar in Chicago, too, where Yeah, you can't walk into places. I think they still have a liquor curfew in Chicago, don't they?
Oh my god, that shit pissed me off when we went. It was like 8
We
o'clock.
drank. We
Or it was
went
9
to go
o'clock
buy
in
a bottle,
Chicago.
but we ended up just drinking the entire mini fridge. It was like $250.
And that's what you got to do now. It's tough times.
Like downtown Chicago, 9
$20
o'clock. Like what the fuck?
Hey, this is a random thought, but I thought it'd be a fun podcast challenge. My dad would always just like bend these in his fingers. Can you guys do it?
Yeah.
Anyone want to try?
Wait, just like this?
Yeah, just in one hand. There you go. Nice job.
I don't think so. You made it seem
See if
easy.
I can still do it.
My mama's got strong hands. It runs in the family.
Take my strong hand.
I already hurt myself.
He's just got the mashed potatoes. That's the
Darn it.
But yeah, it feels so open out here compared to LA or Chicago.
Ah, I did it. Yeah.
And yeah, it's like it's still kind of weird. Oh, you guys are walking into places? We haven't been able to walk in anywhere that's not like a takeout restaurant in 6 months, or at least it's felt that way.
I
Doesn't
feel
it
like
just-
Denver never even
Is it
really
like
shut
weight lifted
down.
off your shoulders? Because it's just not being a human, being enclosed in your home, and like now being just interacting with people. It's just like a breath of fresh air. And luckily, Denver's been good because we went to Chicago and it was just like I would not handle this well. It's just like being locked up.
And honestly, it's like even when restaurants open up, that's all good and great, but we want to go back to shows. Like I want to see at least a bar
live
band
music.
at the restaurant that I'm going to, or like I want to see a jazz combo in the corner. I want
Do
to
you guys
see
got like
anything.
drive-ins or anything out there?
They're all pop-ups. I think all the drive-ins, at least that I know of, are like ways away. They've all been absorbed by whatever property managers, but there's been some pop-up drive-ins and just like big open parking lots and stuff like that, but no shows. It's like they're showing like Gremlins, classic movies, whatever. Ghostbusters 1 and 2, but you have to pay for each feature separately. It's like that doesn't make
That
sense.
is a ripoff.
That's,
You should just, like,
that's California.
when we were kids, we would like go see one movie and then just walk into another theater and go
Yep.
see another movie.
Oh, so
Always
fun.
did that.
Oh, it was the best.
You go there a little
Bring your
early.
free snacks.
Bring the fruit snacks.
I was always bring in like double cheeseburgers from McDonald's.
Why does it smell like meat in here? No,
Crumbled
dude.
up wrappers and
Taylor upstairs was just telling me that Cervantes Eminence Ensemble played there last night, but it was $120 a ticket. It was like a 3-course meal that came with it.
Yeah, they did seated
They did, like,
tables.
Seated
yeah.
tables.
Well, that's worth it.
At least, yeah, that sounds kind of cool.
3-course meal.
Here's what I'll say. As bad as I want things to be back to normal and just be able to go see live music and enjoy my life like I normally did, there's all these weird situational show type things that are popping up, like table settings that you would never ever get. Like we sat at a table at the Black Box the other day and just watched
it
a
really
show.
kind of killed my vibe though.
I agree, but at least
like-
it's still unique.
Yeah, it is unique.
I don't
but
want to do it all the time or ever again.
I think you're
necessarily, but-
appreciating
You know,
it
at least
so
stand-
much. It's because we were slacking.
Well, exactly. We weren't
everything,
appreciating things,
Every
man.
show, yeah. But I also think that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. Once we
It
get
slowed
back
us
to
down.
shows,
I think we were getting too gluttonous. I think we were getting everything was just too.
we're
handed
eating
to
too
us.
much.
Just like everything was handed to us.
No,
as
I know
a
what you
society.
mean.
Like,
Absolutely.
And this is a slap in the face. Like,
Yes.
and we needed that as
Yeah.
Americans. But
No.
now we're also going fucking crazy. We're not handling this well at all because there's
Well,
streets are burning. And
We were talking about that
riots
earlier,
and-
but like this is just a pandemic that kills 0.05, whatever the fuck the number is.
yes.
Imagine if fucking Yellowstone explodes.
Oh my god.
Insane.
We are
Yeah,
screwed.
what's your get out plan for LA when it starts just burning down?
Do you have one?
Do you have a
What,
helicopter?
are you talking about for the big quake or for the civil unrest?
Anything. Anything. Have you guys
Do you have different packs?
Have you guys had bad like protests there?
They were all great protests, actually. You know,
Nice.
everything was
Good.
awesome, but then any of the looting that took place, that was all autonomous of the protest. Those are just people trying to take advantage of a situation.
Well, of course.
So, and anybody could see that was on the ground there, is that there was peaceful protests, and then there was some like agitators and all that. But then, yeah, the looting was kind of a separate thing.
well, that's
But
what
it got a little wild there for a few weeks, But
we've talked about that with good things, there's always any mob of people. There's going to be a resulting negative.
Mob mentality.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sad that
a
people use
leftover,
those
an
things.
outlier, so to speak, or whatever.
But yeah, we're prepping for the big quake, really.
The big quake.
With the big
And
quake.
honestly, we finally felt an earthquake after having moved out there. We might feel like noobs not having felt earthquakes.
We felt our first earthquake, man.
Kind of felt like a garbage truck rolling down the alley.
Oh, you did
Or
feel one?
something like that. Yeah, it was low key.
Was it like the beginning of Encino Man?
It was kind of like that, but not even the shelf shook. No ice.
Slurpee on your face.
It was an icy, but
An icy.
It was
my
white
bad.
hen, dog.
Was that a white hen icy?
It was an icy.
God damn it. Touche, Liam, for remembering that much detail. I was like going with it. I was like, I wonder if he's going to remember like the scene. And then you like come back like, boom.
So someone please fact check me. I believe it's an icy. No, 100%. And yeah, so
Can you look up what beverage falls on Sean Astin in
just
the
look up
beginning
the
of
first 6 minutes of
Encino
Man.
How many years have you been in Cali now?
Not even one? Like about one, right?
one on the dot. Yeah.
Oh,
So
shit.
we actually linked up about a year ago on our way out here, or on our way out there. And
Yeah, that's the last time I saw
What a
him.
fucking bummer, man.
Yeah, so it's like we just got out there, like, oh man,
COVID
we were
smacks.
cruising for like 6 months, like never been busier, like huge shows, like yeah, it was a lot of great forward movement for both of us, and then overnight, it's kind of like I said, it was almost like the deck band, the string quartet on the Titanic. It's like let's just keep playing until we go under, man. And so over the course of like a week or two, handful of gigs would be like, I don't know, we're gonna cancel or we're gonna postpone. And then there was like 2 days where on day one the first half of everything canceled, and on day two the second half of everything canceled. And
That was just fucked.
then I think we went to the office 1 or 2 more days after that and worked from home for a little while, and then yeah, we realized that this is not going to go away immediately.
Damn.
So all gigs have ceased at the moment.
Shit, man.
It was similar here, man. I moved in, after the divorce. I'm like super excited about,
Being divorced.
super stoked about being divorced. No, but in a tumultuous time in my life, I really clicked with these guys, and we're like, fuck yeah, this summer's gonna be crazy. We're gonna go to all these festivals together. I can't wait to be at a festival with you guys. It's all this planning. Oh, let's move to LA for a month. All of it, and then COVID just destroyed all those plans. So that was pretty lame. But we're pretty. I would say we're all optimists. I mean, overall, it's been an amazing year. Still,
Personally, like
it's been crazy.
I think
but
this is blessed that this happened, because like I have just with music, I've learned so much more than I was like working a job. Like it made an excuse to. Well, I got dropped from my job, but that was like an excuse to just completely commit my time to music. So I've just grown so much. Yeah,
I mean, shout out to the people who've been able to make it work in any capacity, but the artists, taking the time off the road, getting creative,
Exactly.
making dinners for themselves, even some stuff as simple as that. If you're on the road
Seeing
nonstop,
family.
and just relaxing, taking it easy.
the
like
music that's going to come from this,
I
because
know,
people
that's what
are
I'm
always
saying.
on the road. Like Skrillex is like what he did like 300 shows in a year. So like now he's just in the studio. This artist like that just
And
recording a hell of good music,
being kind
making
of in the
change.
music scene, I feel like since during COVID, a lot of artists have downtime to work on new music and albums and shit. Would people want to release those albums when COVID kind of ends for like marketing reasons, or would you want to kind of release an album more during this downtime so people are at home listening to an album?
I mean, you could look at it both ways, but typically the model is you tour on an album. So you go out, and this is this album's tour. Album number 26, this is our tour for that,
True.
So if you don't have live shows to promote it, you got to promote it in a completely different way. So it's, kind of a slippery slope. Yeah, people want to see what you're working on. They want new material. Everybody would listen to it. But, as far as revenue goes, you're not going to get the same type of merch money. You're not going to get the same type of guarantee money if you're on the road.
Crazy albums then probably when this shit ends.
And I'd imagine that. But, people are recording and dropping albums in this time, right?
Yeah.
Like, didn't Taylor
People are dropping a
Swift
lot
just
of
do an
singles
album,
and
like,
shit.
start to finish during, like...
T Swift just dropped an album.
She sure did.
Fuck,
Hate
man.
T-Swift.
Damn, I got to listen to
Apparently,
that.
it was written, recorded, and
Mona.
dropped in 3 months.
Mona, how many
somebody
T
has to
Swift
fact
albums did she just drop? Just one? Just one? All right, well that's dope.
Need to catch up on that.
I teach Taylor Swift all the time to my students, and I just want to say she's a clever lyricist.
Agreed.
She's got a great voice.
I just hate her person.
And I don't know much about her. I think her songs are pretty badass.
I respect her talent, but I hate her.
She might only know 3 or 4
She's got
chords,
some dope songs,
but she makes those chords work.
We
She's
love
a
you and we
lyricist.
hate you at the same time.
Yep.
No, I couldn't.
It's
I
like Tom Brady, dude.
She's just, yo.
She's so good.
That
but
is-
fucking
Taylor
you
Swift
hate
is
her.
the Tom Brady of music.
That is a really good comparison.
She's
Yikes.
so good, but that's why you fucking hate her.
I like that a lot. It's good.
She just fucking shits on all of her boyfriends and lets the world know how shitty of a boyfriend they were.
Why? Because they like broke up with her?
Okay,
Yeah,
no.
that's what I'm saying. She's-
Yeah.
She
Listen.
gets famous
Okay,
off
how
just
many?
all
I
these.
don't-
She probably goes in a relationship and then just tanks it on purpose just so she can write a song and then put out an album about this person.
Any
What the fuck?
Any guy that's with her's like, yo, I don't really trust you at all.
That's what I'm saying.
okay, any fucking guy that any guy would make it work if she wasn't crazy. No relationship works with her. She's been through like 20 relationships. Any guy, like somebody's gonna just be the bitch, and nobody could handle it, and that's why they always break up. So there's something wrong with her. She's crazy.
Everyone's like,
They're like, you gotta
there's
bounce.
always those guys that are like, yeah, dude, I'll take that L and let her write a song about me and still see.
Famous women are, actually, I'm not going to say all famous. Some famous women
Isn't Ellen
are
getting
tentative
destroyed
to be
right now?
trusted.
I think Ellen was like super like abusive, like just a piece of shit behind the scenes.
Who?
Ellen.
It was the work environment, and honestly, typically in the situations like that, you're not working with talent all that often, on the lower levels, But I think it was the production team, not her as an individual.
no donuts for breakfast and no coffee available, or
No more locks on Wednesdays, and it's like that's enough to push me over the edge.
When I talk to people about LA that they haven't been there, they always think about like a bad reputation of like the people that you meet. And when I go there, I only meet really good people. And behind the scenes that you've experienced is I meet a lot of good people. It's not as
You meet some
shitty-
amazing folks. Yeah,
it's not as shitty as people think. It's not
no,
as pretentious as people think.
when you think
just
of
so
pretension,
rich
you
and
think of
bougie,
like
I
the
feel.
talent, so to speak. In my opinion,
yeah.
like the producers we work with, the cameramen we work with, I know people that have, Grammys, have Emmys, have Golden Globes for production, and like that's amazing, and those guys are just some of the most talented people in the world, and even they're unemployed right now, which is crazy to me, crazy to me to think about. But yeah, we never really experienced that type of like bougie fuck you because you were at least in the same room as those people. So I think that's the first level. If you're screaming at them for like an autograph or something, you might experience that. But
Yeah.
I can't say I experienced any of that. When you go to the beach or something, you might see like a bunch of bros playing volleyball and spike ball.
they sound awesome.
Matt, have I got the party for you?
You know what? Everyone's always hating on bros, and I've always gotten along with bros really well. And I just want to defend bros. They're not all that bad. Some of them suck, for sure. I did hear this one thing that, like, bros started going to festivals a lot. And this girl said something along the lines of, like, the people I was trying to escape from high school are now, at festivals, are now surrounding me at festivals, and it sucks. And I'm like, damn, I feel bad for you.
Would you say LA? When I moved here, I feel like people were very open to like trying to help you succeed. Like business people, when they'd come downstairs at Rock Bottom to eat lunch and shit, they were always so interested in your background and everything. Would you say LA is kind of like that, or do you think, or is it more you kind of have to know someone to get into like a clique, or
nobody's gonna like just hand you a gig.
Yeah,
But it's more like it's nice rubbing elbows with anybody. Anytime you go to a bar and meet someone new, it's like, oh yeah, what are you working on? It's like, yeah, I'm on this Netflix show, or I'm on an Amazon show, or I do props for this, or I'm set dressed for that. It's like, cool. So what are you working on? It's well, I got a little web series that I'm shooting in my Garage. It's dropping on YouTube later this month, or I'm recording an album or whatever. So everybody it's cool.
Everyone has projects.
It's nice because everybody works it feels like everybody works in a creative industry, and then everybody's got their own pet project that they're working on at home.
That's nice.
That this is what's going to push me over the edge. I don't have to do this gig anymore. Now I can be creative.
What's your pet project, man?
Oh boy.
Look, can you give us the inside scoop?
Come
on, you got something, I'm sure.
Yeah, honestly, out here, where am I?
Out there?
Yeah, so it's been nice. Like,
you're out there, man.
As soon as COVID hit, that's what gave me the time to be creative. I think with anybody, like I was saying, like
that's why this podcast started.
We were just constantly working, and then everything dried up. It's like, oh, what are you going to do now? It's like, oh, let me read some books. It's like, whoa, I haven't really sat down and read books in a long time, and it feels nice to
put time into yourself.
Have a done pile,
Yeah.
But yeah, I was doing kind of like a radio show at home. I was having people phone in and all that, and that was fun for a little while. But
you
that's
are a hotliner.
That's like,
we were just talking about this before this.
The ladies, man.
Welcome back to Privileged Cavemen.
Right before we started.
Hold on, can we get a fake? Do it. Just whatever you're just doing.
Let's get a radio.
Let's get a fake
voice.
Privileged Caveman ad.
And we're back. Welcome back to Privileged Caveman. I'm your host. Actually, I'm not the host. I'm the guest.
He's our host.
Welcome back to Privileged Caveman. I'm your guest.
He's our guest.
All the way. Wait.
About to start echoing.
From San Diego.
Sunday.
Jerry Angelo. Yeah, so it's I've been I'm playing a couple songs for my sister's wedding, so I'm doing that's why I'm out here is that. So I'm just playing music, low
Drums.
key. Actually, we live in a Venice apartment, so my drums are sitting in bags right now, which is the unfortunate part. But it gives me more time to compose music. So honestly, I'm writing songs. I use Logic Pro X at home, and I haven't really done that in a while. So I don't have like an album put together, but I have a bunch of great songs that if anybody knows any soloists, some great singers, or great guitar players or something that want to come in and make it their own. But kind of doing that. I have like a nice little
I'm really good at
backlog
armpit
of those.
Armpit farts. He is a very good armpit farter.
He's very good at controlling those.
So one of my awesome friends that I'm thankful for you for introducing me to, Sean Hupp. We had I don't know if I told you guys this, but Sean and Liam and I were going to start a band together called Oculus.
Is Sean the one that has that crazy ass?
Yeah, he makes
like,
dubstep and whatnot, but he
shit?
plays bass, and he's a really great artistic musical mind as well.
Yeah.
And we were going to start a band together, and I
guys
remember,
and him?
yeah, Liam was going to be the drummer, and
Okay.
Sean was going to play bass. I was going to do guitar. Scott was going to be in it too, and to be the other
Yeah,
guitarist.
we had
sounds
rehearsed.
sick.
We had rehearsed for a few months, and we were starting to like kind of get some great ideas together and some musical ideas together. And that was great. And then unfortunately, I had a family affair I had to take care of back home.
Yeah.
But then the band kind of disbanded at that point, and I think. But yeah, you kept in touch with Sean, and
Yeah,
are you guys
yeah.
making music or anything like that?
Not really, but what made me think of it is that I remember you showing me some like compositions that you made on Logic, and so you can that's what's beautiful about that. You can always do that. So
Yeah, so we've been composing music at home, and that's
exactly.
I'm waiting for a great musical mind to cross paths again, so that we can collaborate, and that's always fun,
Bro, me and you should definitely collaborate. Oculus doesn't have to be fully gone, but the only thing is, maybe we can make it work. You living in LA, I don't know. We can talk about that after the podcast.
Let's offline about Oculus. However, that does sound like a good idea.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be fun. Yeah.
Here's the thing, man. Like with Mass Relay, I love producing music. It's one of my favorite It's probably my favorite activity that exists. It's my flow state activity. Just getting in there and creating something. I love it, but I don't enjoy performing it as much because even though people are dancing and it feels great to see people dancing to my music, I'm just like filling in spots with my guitar. And this is like going back years of 5-4, and so me and Chris and Lance, I think I always told you about Lance. I wanted you guys to meet. He's an amazing drummer.
Yeah. I think we did meet once or twice.
Okay, yeah. He studied at New School and he's a great drummer. And so when we have these moments, like we covered the Weather Report song Havana,
Nice.
and shit like that. And so these moments when we're all jamming together, like that's when I really feel happy. And so long story short, like I've been trying to explore like bands again a little bit, you know, like because
Totally.
it makes me really happy.
You know, and I've seen some producers do really well at playing their, you know, equipment like an instrument, but you know, sometimes with a certain model, you feel like you're just kind of filling in holes and everything's already pre-recording. You're queuing between zero and some stuff or a lot of stuff.
I'm DJing with equipment that makes it very easy to do so.
Yeah, you know, but
if I press it 4 beats before the downbeat, it'll come in at the right time.
But what you're saying is there's nothing quite like playing in a band.
Nothing quite like interacting with musicians, feeding off of each other. That spontaneous moment when they start doing something on the drums, like a different rhythm, and you start mimicking that, and you both start building up. I mean, I don't know, man. That's it.
I agree, and honestly,
sounds
now's the time to get creative because I don't think this is going away anytime soon. And summer's almost over. You're gonna get into winter months again.
I think it's
So
gonna be multiple years, man.
I feel like it's the call to arms. You know, we had 6 months to run around like crazy, and we had no idea what.
We've
the fuck
been
we were
working
doing.
hard here, man.
Nice. Yeah, it's great.
I've said this a million times, but these two are some of the hardest workers I've met, but they're also really late to the game, so they got a lot of catching up to do. But I'm fucking with you. No, I'm really proud of both of them as
Super late to the
musicians.
game. I started,
But like they work really
3
hard,
years.
and it makes me like we talk about this all the time. But we push each other for sure. You know, if they're working and I'm not, it's like okay, well, what am I doing then? I should probably get to work.
Yep.
And you know, and we have moments. We watch movies and stuff. Don't get me wrong.
You watch movies
We're not
too?
total squares.
I watch movies.
Dude, high five. Very nice.
You gotta let loose.
You gotta let. That is true.
But
I've
It's
been.
decompression.
I went camping last weekend. I'm trying to get out there more and let loose. You know,
Yeah, I'm trying to eat a lot more mushrooms.
eating some mushrooms, dude, getting in nature, connect with.
Yeah, I've been
the inner
microdosing.
spirit.
It's pretty dope.
Tell us about your microdosing, man.
It's been good. It's been good, honestly. Like I just feel super focused. I could run farther than I've ever ran.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Terrence McKenna talked all the time about this. He's got this whole stoned ape theory, but there's a lot. Whether his whole theory is correct about if that's the reason that made our brains double in size in that short period of time that it did as
No.
hominids or whatever.
It's
Um,
aliens fucked the monkey.
It's probably aliens having sex with monkeys. But whether or not that's true, it's definitely true that, like, you know, we've talked about that. You get that high def vision when you're in that like 1 or 2 gram level, you know, and you start to be able to see everything better, and you're more interested in everything. And I could totally see it like pushing, you know, hunters to be better hunters and to just push the
There's
human
a different
evolution.
focus, but it's not like
They want to fuck
it's
more.
but it's such a small amount. It's like 0.1 of a gram.
Well, okay, no,
You know
that's
what I'm
different
saying?
than what I'm talking about for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
No, I'm just saying in general.
But in general, like
Those
tripping
both
just,
sound nice, actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like
There's a
microdosing,
spectrum.
It's like 0.1, and it's just a perfect amount. I just see awesome benefits from it,
Yeah.
and there's so much studies on it too, and the benefits from it. People documenting their experiences.
Yeah, I mean, Paul Stamets, that mushroom guru that's always on people's podcasts. He brought up this
fucking
one
monster.
brain. Yeah, he's the best.
I
But he
love
brought this brain image of like a normal brain functioning and like the different hemispheres of the brain and the neural connections between them. And then he's like, he makes the joke. He's like, well, here's your brain on drugs. You know, the original meme being this brain melting in a frying pan, useless. But really what they're realizing is that the brain is in hyperactivity in the sense that parts of the brain that have never been connected to one another are now in these insane there's like 20 times more connections going on. And I felt like that. I've had these moments where it's like I feel like I'm, I don't know, super intelligent or super something.
Well, that's where LSD is different from most other drugs, is that it creates new synapses in your brain.
New ones.
New ones. It creates new bridges, you know, at least with the first few experiences.
I could totally see
that's
that.
why they call it, you know, opening your mind. It gives you...
And that you can never go back.
And I think a way to put it is like, yeah, you don't go back because you're creating new bridges. And essentially you're creating new and more pathways, you know, for thoughts to get through and information to be processed. And yeah, that's why I
Right,
say
that
it
makes
changes
sense.
you because, yeah, you are creating a different pathway that most people don't have if you don't do that type of thing. And meditate for like 80 years.
crazy.
Do you know Josh Rice?
No, he
Unclear.
does not know.
No,
Josh
he
Allen.
says we have a governor on our brain, and taking psychedelics expands that governor.
Kind of releases that governor
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah. Excuse me. Did I ever tell you about that guy Tony, the homeless guitar teacher that I learned from? That was insane.
He was a 7-string player, right?
Yeah,
Is that
he
the
was
dude?
just unbelievable player.
Yeah.
But Tony, he used to tell me something. It was before I had ever taken real LSD, but he told me, he was like, if once you take it and you really trip, you're never the same person again. And that used to freak the shit out of me. I was like, I don't want to not be the same person, blah, blah, blah. But then it slowly dawned on me that I'm like, oh my God, I never was the same person again, but in the best possible way.
Oh, yes.
You know, like, okay, I'm never the same person in that I value every moment infinitely more. I'm much more compassionate to every living creature and everything that,
Terrible.
you know, what a terrible fucking thing. I'm never going back, man. Never going back to that life.
But if you think about it, any experience you have, if you go to the ballpark for the first time, if you go to a new city for the first time, see any movie or something for the first time, you're never the same person after that.
That's
If it
actually a
affects
really good
you.
point.
So any trip or any experience, so to speak, you're always going to be that person that you are after that.
You're not the
experience.
first time after the, or you're not the first.
You
not
weren't
the
my
same-
first, Richter.
You're not the same person
Sorry, I
after the
made
first
it-
time you have sex.
That's very
I mean,
true.
were you guys?
Yeah.
Actually, I've never had sex.
I'm a virgin.
I'm still a virgin too, so I don't
I'll
really know
never
what
forget
that's
the
like.
first time I tripped though. Like it.
I've been saving myself for my
empathy.
I've been saving myself for my second wife. That's why my first marriage probably didn't work out.
50.
The whole time I was like,
Quarter-
sorry, and like I've been saving myself for my second wife. I already predicted the future.
30 divorced and a virgin.
30 divorced and a virgin. My life's really interesting right
Soon
now.
we'll be able to make a movie called The 40-Year-Old Virgin 2, and you'll be the star of it.
I think I'd be a perfect candidate to star in 40-Year-Old
I think
Virgin
so,
too.
too.
My Jufro, but I'm not
Nerd.
Jewish. And my proclivity to just acting like a dork.
Yes.
I think I'm
Plays
into it.
saxophone really poorly.
Yes.
That he does.
How dare you, Austin? I'm
Just
getting
kidding.
better, okay?
You are. You don't squeak me.
That would be
It-
the
it-
worst.
it hurts
instrument
coming
to
from
play
you, man.
badly. Like, if you could play guitar,
You just gotta
badly,
practice
but a
that blowing,
saxophone
man.
would be so.
You know what sucks?
That works.
I've been so poor, and I didn't know anything about wind instruments, and I didn't keep my cork greased, and
Oh,
my
you can keep your cork greased?
and my cork cracked,
Bro, you
and now I have a cracked cork, and I need to.
got a cracked
to
cork
get a
'cause you
new
didn't keep your cork
saxophone.
greased.
Sorry, I need to get it together here, but I need to get my saxophone fixed and have it
Your cork
performing it. Got
What
my
you're
cork
saying-
cracked, man.
So, ladies, if you're listening out there, we need somebody to grease his cork.
Yes. And fix
Ladies or men, who knows? You know, who knows what I'm into?
that. Matthew.
It's 2020, bro.
So, what are you into?
Don't be so suburban.
Hey, you can't
It's the
keep us
new
on the
millennium.
track here.
All the hitches are doing it. It's the way of the road.
There's no more lines anymore.
More line.
Well, yeah, here's a line. On this side of it, we ain't gay. No, but seriously, guys or
Like
girls,
fish sticks,
if anyone
Matt?
wants to grease my cork, I could use a experienced cork greaser. I need my fucking saxophone fixed, okay? That's all I'm saying.
You need your horn.
Whatever. Let's move on. So Liam,
Matt, do you like fish
What was-
sticks?
yeah, I like fish sticks.
Are you gay fish?
I am.
What was your like
fish.
entire route musically? You
Yeah,
started
thanks, guys.
as a musician, started recording. Like what happened like after college? 'Cause now you're producing shows pretty much.
Yeah. So honestly, as soon as at least myself, as soon as I got into live sound, that kind of opened the gateway to, working at music festivals, and I kind of already had, and we grew up going to music festivals, and that's
Yeah.
kind of a lot of fun in the summertime. So we would do like full scale productions, build stages, do lighting, audio, stuff like that. So, once you can mix a show at a small club with a built PA, You can start to like build the full PA or lights or whatever it is. Then you can kind of start to run your own shows, and that was the progression. Really, is mixing bigger and bigger stages. And honestly, there's under normal circumstances, the events industry can always use great stagehands. Especially if you're an engineer at home, like if you want to pursue audio. If you really know what you're doing, you can make a great living building PAs on stages or at events anywhere.
And also like meeting people and like meeting musicians.
Right. And so a lot of that was union and non-union. Like IATSE, International Alliance, theatrical and stage employees. I worked with several in Chicago, in Colorado. And so, you meet great people inside of the union, and you also meet great people outside of the union, kind of, just through music festivals was always a great one to meet. You kind of surprise a lot of people if you can do great work in an environment like that, in the heat, kind of with all the noise around you, and then you get to, do bigger and better things. So worked a lot of shows, and in any realm, whether it was an arena, stadium, theaters, small clubs, indoor, outdoor, corporate, theatrical, like musical theater, stuff like that. And so kind of one thing led to another, but it was always lighting and audio, staging, video.
Let's give a shout out. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Austin.
I was just going to ask if your field is competitive or not.
Very, yeah. Totally competitive. And honestly, like, you don't get by being an asshole, you get by being a nice guy, but like some of the best are stern, you know what I mean? So don't
professional.
Yeah, and honestly, in Chicago, it's like you meet stern people anyway.
That's very true.
So that's an important lesson that you learn at some point.
You got tough skin.
Is how to dish it, You're like, if you got if somebody's gonna like rip on you, you gotta rip right back,
exactly.
And then they'll respect you.
And then they'll respect you if they just let you, if you just let them. Oh, perfect.
Oh,
Thank you, Mona.
Dude, it is so liberal here and so like soft in a way. Like I'm coming
so
from
sick of it,
Chicago,
dude.
I was like, I just felt like I was so aggressive.
And I'm a liberal person.
And I was like, I'm a good guy, but like they're like, oh, like the things you're saying, all this shit. I'm like, you're just a fucking pussy, honestly.
But you know what? It really like tough skin, and being able to like just come up with like quips like right off the bat, and like being good at what you do. That's like probably the key to making it in the business. But like, as soon as you don't get offended, if you fuck up, take it on the chin and do better. Yeah, and honestly, if you're not weak on the outside, no offense to weak people out there, but like, so to speak, if you just if you're confident in yourself and you're confident with your team, and if somebody wants to give you some shit, you give it right back. Call it busting your balls. That was a huge lesson. And then as soon as you can kind of enter into that environment, especially as a younger person with like an older workforce, that'll open up way more opportunities. And then especially as you get better and better and if that's something you want to do, there's always room to maneuver. And then it's all about connects. It's all about networking, and nobody's just going to hand you a gig. There's never going to be a magical email that says, hey, you want to work the coolest gig ever? You work and you network, and you have to meet people. And I met this guy and I worked these 2 festivals with him, and then he gives you a call and you work this festival over here. But, now like, hey, I got a tour. You want to roll on it with me? That type of thing. Or, hey, I have a theater and, they're looking for a great like monitor engineer or something like that. You always get another gig. And then if you're really good at it and you're a good hang and people want to like have a beer with you afterwards, then as long as you want to do it until COVID hits.
Yeah.
And that pretty much brings us up to date. It's like you work enough gigs and, eventually you want to move to LA, do the thing, and it's amazing. And then now everybody in the entire country is out of a gig. So it's right. It's hard to take it personally, but at the same time, now we have to figure out what to do.
I was going to say earlier, we should shout out Munyon. I know you hung with Munyon for a while. We have a mutual, I can't even think of words right now. We went to school with Joe Ray, who's the keyboard player of Munyon.
So, okay, let's talk about this. Shout out to Munyon. No, they're great. We went to college with a few of them. We went to college with Matt Kellen, the drummer who actually recently left.
God, I forget Matt and Sean
Carolyn,
right?
Or Carlin, sorry. Oh, Carlin.
Carolyn or
Carlin.
It's Carlin.
And we went with Joe Ray.
Joe Ray, he's a beast. I love that guy.
Yeah, and so another friend of ours from high school, Justin Reckamp, is kind of the brain behind the thought project that is Munyon.
He's amazing.
Yeah, and they're great musicians.
He went to a different school, right?
Yeah, he ended up going to, where'd you go? Roosevelt, Justin, I think.
Okay.
No, you went to Columbia.
He's one of those guitar players
Columbia.
that's like...
Fuck me, right?
He's one of those people I hear play, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta practice more. He's really tight.
Totally, and they're a great band, and they're a great jam band if you never heard of them.
Check out Munyon. Mungion, right?
But that's correct.
Munyon and Kraftwerk.
But yeah, like Mona was just reminding me right before we left for LA. It was kind of like, man, should we do like a going away party? Man, there's never enough shows. Like, what should we do? So it's like, let's just like throw a going away show. So that was kind of our going away party. I'm not sure if you saw any of the posts that we had. For that.
I've been off.
So it was about this time last year, maybe like early August of last year. We threw a big super jam in Chicago with some of our favorite musicians.
I did see that actually.
Many of the Munyon guys included.
Yeah, was that at
Bourbon?
Bourbon, yeah,
yeah.
That's where I played. Yeah,
and our good buddy Steve is the talent buyer there. You know, Steve
Contreras.
Yeah.
Steve is the fucking man.
Yeah, so
shout out to Steve Contreras.
What's up, Steve?
We're doing a lot of shout outs, but
Steve,
they're all
quit your
it.
job. Yeah, so and he's always been good about letting us host late events there, and we shout out to Brandon Spacely. He started a thing called the Secret Zets in Chicago, which is kind of like an underground happening once a month for a while, and so we put together this going away show kind of in that vein with like a projection mapping and a bunch of lights and some of the best musicians in Chicago. They did like super groups, and then we did like a couple big like super jams, and yeah, it was amazing. A great way to like kick us off and kick us out of town. But yeah, we kind of missed that. Like, you can't even get all of your friends together for like a jam at a club with people that want to just have a couple beers now. That's taboo.
Well, we were talking about Jamie J, another fellow classmate of ours from Elmhurst College. But there's been multiple times where we'd be at Cervantes, and it'll be about 2 when everything shuts down. She's like, it's actually like maybe twice this has happened, but she's like, yeah, come to the other side. And like one time it was someone's birthday, and then everyone who works there was all hanging till whenever the fuck they want to close the place down. If it's just them there, they're just drinking at the bar, smoking bowls, and it was fun. You see that. The underside of everything, that people that own venues are people too, and that they like to just kind of enjoy themselves with their friends. And
those people haven't had income, aside from assorted food and beverage sales, since mid-March. So that's the scary part.
Dude, I was saying to someone earlier, like, whatever happens once it comes back, whatever that means, it's going to be different. And a lot of people are going to be out of business, and there's going to be new people coming in and trying to be the new people that are going to make money off the music scene and open venues. And it's going to be interesting, I think, to see how everything unfolds.
There's going to be like a social difference too. Like, people are going to be like more just away from people. I don't even know how to say it.
Separation.
Separated from people. Like, people aren't going to like shake his money.
And it'll be socially awkward for sure.
People are going to still like wear face masks for a long time. I feel like
that's a good point.
Yeah, like I feel like people will wear masks like for a long
how
time.
Smoking cigarettes indoors used to be normal, and now when you see someone doing it, it's like someone committing a murder publicly or something like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be like that. Like, people are going to still be following these weird social distancing guidelines
forever.
Even when it's like, there's probably going to be some, I don't know, there might be an asteroid about to hit the earth or something, and then they're still going to be worried about that.
They grab their mask before they run.
Gotta put on my mask before.
I don't think it's going to be a drastic change for a long time.
It is.
Yeah.
My grandma, God bless her soul, she's my only remaining grandparent. She's 85, about to turn 86 actually, like this in a couple days. And she still smokes cigarettes. And she's always been like you know, she's cool about it. She's one of the nicest people ever, but she definitely feels like her rights have been taken away, like as a smoker, you know, like, and I get it. People shouldn't be, you know, subjected to being surrounded by secondhand smoke, but at the same time, my grandma's a badass and she should be able to do whatever the fuck she wants, damn it.
Especially if you're 85.
Yeah.
Is that what you said she was?
How we doing on time, boys?
We are doing almost bedtime, I think it is.
Is it almost bedtime?
Yeah. No, we got a...
Do you guys have a song? Like an outro song?
We have
can
an
make-
intro
yeah.
song.
We have an
you
intro song.
Yeah.
Would you sing it to me?
There's no words. We just sound designed it.
Oh no, but I want you to sing it to me. All right, let's all sing it.
That's pretty much what it is.
It's animal noises, and
We'll play it for you afterwards.
yeah, we'll show you for sure.
Yeah. No.
Hey, Liam, you know, I know you don't have like any music pages for anyone to check out, but I don't know. I guess let's play it right now.
Boom, 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 boom. Okay, you're gonna do that part. And you're gonna do that part. And then hold on. Boom, boom, boom. And you're gonna
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom.
How high are we? We need to hang out with this guy more often.
All right.
Here's what I'm saying.
So outro song.
Outro song. I think.
Yeah, wish you lived here, man. We need...
I know.
I like your comedy.
Liam, I fucking love you, man. Thank you for
Love
doing
you
this.
too. And honestly, this is a great place to get creative, you know. And I love
This
you know,
is not going to be the
houses.
last
Yeah, where
time,
you
man.
walk
You're
in-
through here.
Yeah, I will. I definitely will.
Well, I'm saying you come to Denver fairly frequently. You have family here.
Yeah, I'm here every few months, every 6 months or 3 months.
More often.
I'm definitely down. But yeah, stay creative out there. Shout out to all the folks that are doing great creatively.
And if you're
Yeah,
not
do you
being
have
creative, try to find something
Yeah.
this week and be creative.
And
Pretty much did. Have you got many final words to say to
you know, like all
those.
those that you know kind of got blindsided, just weather the storm, right? That's kind of what we're all doing. Stay creative in the meantime, but we're all just kind of, you know, hopefully weathering the storm. Do what you got to do to make ends meet, but then
all in this together.
and then yeah, like you said, I'm looking forward to the boom as soon as it's all done.
Me too, man.
Just mass
Ready to see where it all
creativity.
goes.
You know, not to draw the conversation on too much longer, but we've talked about the Roaring 20s, you know, 100 years ago, and how there was a pandemic right before that, like the Spanish flu, apparently.
Yep.
And there was the same thing that happened. You know, that's a weird thing. 100 years later, we have this pandemic. We're all really feeling pent up. But God, who knows what's going to happen in the next few years, man? Just
Hopefully not a Great Depression, but how about the golden age of cinema? Let's do that shit.
let's do that, guys.
Let's skip right
Yeah,
ahead.
thank you again for coming
thank
and
you,
giving
man.
us some of your time, man. I love you. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Don't forget to check us out on the internet, everyone.
Yes.
Where do you check us out, Tyler?
Cavemen.
Privileged Cavemen. The
Privileged Cavemen. You'll find
This
it.
fucking podcast.
You'll
Just
fucking
fucking
find
Google it.
Yeah.
Google, yeah, you have the
You want me to
internet.
Google that for you?
All right. Love you guys.
Thank you guys.
Peace.
Thank you.